Do you ever think about a zombie apocalypse? Like, I know this might be a really random organizing tie-in, but I had this partner once who was super into zombie movies. And so because of that, I have watched almost every zombie movie ever created. And even though I am not like a big prepper mindset, it did get me thinking about what I would bring if there was a zombie apocalypse. And I'm really curious to dig into this with you because I think it ties in interestingly with organizing. All right, we're about to get real personal. So, when I have watched zombie movies in the past, what I notice is not just that the zombies are chasing the people and that it's this life of just survivalism and running and strife. The first the first thought that always comes to my mind is, but where do they replenish their bras? Because as a large busted lady, my bras are not for sale just anywhere. They're not cheap and they're not easy to find. So it's tricky. So when I think about a zombie apocalypse, the first thing I think about is grabbing bras, like every bra I own, and tennis shoes. That's all I care about. I'm like, can I run? And are my boobs going to be well managed? That's like all I care about. And again, now we're best friends. So welcome to the inner circle. But I think it's an interesting question to ask ourselves. What would we grab if we had to leave our homes with no time? And the reason why I think this is interesting on a practical level, it's interesting because this is a thing that's happening for more and more people as our planet starts to really suffer and struggle, and we're having more and more natural disasters. I've known multiple people who've lost everything they own and had moments to escape from their house before a natural disaster came and claimed it. So there's a practical side of it. The other side of it is also just aligning with value systems. What do you love in your home? What is truly important to you? If you could only fill one box full of stuff before you left and you had 10 minutes to do it, what would you take? This is an interesting activity for you to just explore, not because we want to prepare. I'm not like all about preparing for some crisis that may or may not happen, but I'm interested in seeing like, what do you really value? Because a lot of times when we have clutter, it just feels like everything is important. And when everything is important, nothing is important. And that's where we get into trouble. So we want to just explore, like, my question for you would be, if you could grab 5 things, what would you grab? Just name those right now. Like, what are the 5 things? Would you grab photographs? Would you grab a computer or a hard drive? Would you grab bras? Like me. What would you grab? What would you take? What is the highest value for you in leaving? And this is an interesting question because it's not always the most pragmatic items that we choose, or even sometimes the most emotional or sentimental items. Everyone is different. If I was really thinking about what I would grab, I joke and say, that I would grab bras, which if there was a zombie apocalypse and I have to run, like live on the run for the next infinity years, I'd probably grab some bras because I can't guarantee that the mall that we're going to get stuck in later with the zombies is actually going to have anything in there. But I would want to grab my technology. That would be a really big deal for me to grab technology. I'd also want to grab some memorabilia items, but not as many as I actually have. When I think about what I would take, it's such a small fraction. It's like maybe one journal and my hard drive with photos on there. That's probably what I would grab. And that's surprising because I have probably 10 boxes of memorabilia stored and organized in my closet, and I wouldn't bring any of that. And so this activity allows us to rethink what we have in our homes. And we don't have to live in a minimalist way. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. But what I'm suggesting is for you to start to really think about what items are important to you. What items really bring you joy? What do you want to have around your house? And what are items that you just are like, meh about? Because, if we look at what you have in your home, there's a lot of items that probably are very neutral and unnecessary and like just functional day-to-day items. Then we've got a percentage of items that are joy providing and heart filled. These are our memorabilia items, our collectibles, maybe some fashion, maybe some art, like things that just bring us joy by being around them. And then there are painful items that maybe are really tricky for us and we don't know how to solve them because they represent a bigger transition or a loss in our lives. It could be items that we feel really stressed out about and it's a big project that we have to solve. Now, if there was a zombie apocalypse, you might feel amazing about leaving those things behind, right? But in our day to day life, you have to do something with those. And so we really start to explore okay, great. What is in my home? What's around me? What's surrounding me? Because you become like who you spend time with, but you also become like what you surround yourself with. And so there's an element of us being affected by the items that we're surrounded by. And so taking the time to say, what would I take if there was, you know, God forbid, some sort of natural disaster or zombie apocalypse, that tells you where your priorities are. And I'm not saying that you have to prep these things, but now you know where your priorities are. And it hopefully will soften the desire and need to keep all the other stuff that you're holding on to because it feels important. If you wouldn't grab it, if it's not one of those 5 things that you would grab when you're leaving the house, it might not be that important. And that's okay. And I'm not saying you have to get rid of it today. I'm just saying, let's just see what's there and name it. The other thing that this activity brings to mind is as it shows you your values, it shows you what you want to be surrounded by. So do more of that, right? Like if there are things that you love, like say if you were leaving, you wanted to bring your watercolor stuff. Maybe make watercolor painting a big part of the rooms in your home. Maybe have a set in the living room so you can paint when, people have the TV on, or that you have some in the kitchen. Maybe you sprinkle it around so that you use it. So often we are forcing ourselves into little places within our homes because art supplies belong in the office or they belong in the playroom. And when they're there, we don't use them. So this is also an invitation for you to expand. One of the biggest things I see people struggling with in their physical spaces as a professional organizer is taking up space. And it seems counterintuitive because clutter seems like it's taking up so much space. But oftentimes, the roles that we play for the people in our lives or the roles that we play in our work world, that takes precedence over who we really are and our deepest joy. And we tend to lock those parts, those joyful, happy, creative parts of ourselves away. And this is your invitation to bring those out to play. You leaving art supplies in 3 different rooms of your home is not you being cluttered. That's you providing a space for you to infuse your life with joy. Like, yes, maybe trade some of the art supplies for clutter, like remove some clutter, handle some to make space for it. But what we want to do is we want to fill our spaces with life, not stuff. And again, it seems counterintuitive because it seems like we should be getting our life all together first and solving this clutter problem before we go and take on new hobbies or start dating or doing fun things. And the opposite is true. If your life is full of things that bring you joy, and is not full of things that sap your energy, stress you out, make you feel inadequate or overwhelmed, your life is going to improve and your clutter is going to dissipate. Because when your life is full and your home is full of you living your life, clutter does not have space to live and thrive. We don't have the time to do the kind of chronic shopping or collecting. We don't get so paralyzed by the items that are surrounding us. What ends up happening is getting rid of our clutter stops feeling like horrible torture and feels like a necessity to experience the life we want to. If you know, for example, that you want to start painting and you put paints in the kitchen, you might not be able to stack clutter on the kitchen counter anymore because now that's an art station. So you'll have to come up with a new place to put your mail when it comes in. Maybe you get a really cute little mailbox, or maybe it goes into the dining room. You play with it. We want to start infusing your spaces with life. And the zombie question is a great way to start to explore that because it lets us start to think like, what is important to me? What do I want my life filled with? And that's what I want you to start infusing your life with. Stop waiting for the clutter to go away before you live your life. Stop waiting for things to be perfect, for you to feel like you can just live fully. Live fully now. And ideally live fully before the zombies come because, they don't take any prisoners. That's just a thing. So, if you want more zombie-filled organizing advice, subscribe below. I would love to have you on this journey.